Alright, in this video I want to talk about Powerline. This is Ethernet over Powerline. So you might have heard the term power over Ethernet. This is reversing the concept. So power over Ethernet is where you use, it's mostly used for IP phones and for wireless access points. Now you can take that same concept and put Ethernet over your power line. So basically your electrical wall sockets in your house can become a network jack and also provide power at the same time. And that's exactly what these devices are doing. So I'm specifically making this video for people who are having issues with their Wi-Fi, especially those that are running gaming consoles like Xbox and PlayStation and the latest versions of Nintendo, because and even laptop and desktop users as well. Now, there's probably two things going on with your wireless. Either one, it's just too far away. You might have an older standard of wireless that just, either on your game console or on your router, or it's just too crowded. And say maybe if you live in a townhome, condo, things like that, where it's really crowded. You might have just a bunch of people that are just using up all the space, all the spectrum on the wireless, that it's just not worth it. So what you can do is, instead of hiring a contractor to pull wires in your house to make your signal more reliable, there's a compromise, and that's called Powerline. And so basically you have two devices like this. Now one device, these plug in straight into the wall. That's why some of these have an additional outlet here, because you have to plug these directly into the wall, or you have to buy one that has a special outlet that has a power line or home plug outlet on the power strip. You're not going to find very many of those. Most installations, you're going to plug them directly into the electrical wall socket. And then what you do is, one of the Ethernet jacks on here is going to plug into the router on one of them, and then the other one, this would plug near your gaming console, for example, or your PC or whatever. This allows you to network two of them. So you plug one Ethernet cable into the Xbox, and then these two adapters talk to one another over your electrical wall sockets. And then you can plug in a smart TV, you could plug in a laptop, or whatever you want to plug into. Now the other one that plugs into the router, let's say it's this port. I want to make sure I'm clear on this. Do not plug the other jack into the router as well. You will cause problems and ruin your device if you do that. There's something called a switching loop. High-end Cisco routers in commercial buildings have what's called spanning tree. They stop loops like this from forming. These devices are not smart enough to do that. Do not try it. I'm telling you, you will ruin your device. So only use one port for your router. The other port is there if you have to network another device, whatever it is, but you're probably not going to use it because you can just use the port off your router anyway. But if you happen to run out of ports, I suppose this gives you another one. Okay, so now, and then you can see this one only gives you one, so just be aware of that. So the thing is, do you have a socket that you're going to monopolize? Well, you can save a little bit of money if you don't need that additional socket, so that's what this has. If you have the angle brackets off the power strip that's at an angle, this won't work really well. You're going to have to get the one, or this will block it, so you're going to have to use this outlet here. Okay, so now also, in addition to that too, do you want a wireless extender too? Maybe you get a bad signal, and maybe the wireless access point where the internet comes in is in a bad spot. Well, you can use the same concept to extend your wireless range. You can actually see this. Well, this one's more expensive. This one has 3 ports on the bottom. This one has 2. So this one also gives you that same wired connection. In addition to that, they put a radio antenna on the one where you would plug in your computer, game console, whatever. So you could actually go turn your wireless radio off access point, or if you live in a really big house, you could just use that to extend the range, whichever one is your circumstance. You can see this one right here, pretty good deal. But again, you don't have that electrical wall outlet. Here you have one on, where your router would plug in. So again, it's all up. You have to decide what your situation is. But there's a lot of them on Newegg. Now let's go over security. Okay, so if you're in a dedicated house, if you're in a single-family home, you really don't have to worry about security. But if you're worried about it, like it's especially important if you're in an apartment, or if you're worried maybe the word got out and some bad person or whatever wanted to plug into your network, they could technically plug into your outside power sockets. So in this case, this round button right here that I have my mouse pointed to, you can see over to the right a blow up on it. Every one of these have these. You press and hold, I believe, for about 2 seconds, and then you'll see lights illuminate a certain sequence. And then you have 2 minutes to go to all your other adapters and do the same thing. Now, what I would recommend is plug them in close together at first when you do this, because otherwise, like in my house, I have to go up and down 2 flights of stairs, and I have 2 minutes to get down there and do this. So I would recommend put these close together at first, and then you can unplug one of them and put it wherever you want. That way you get the security synced up. And then if you happen to hose this, all you've got to do is reset. You can see there's a little pinhole on this one between this jack and this button. Right in between there's a factory reset. They all have one of those as well. Just take a paper clip, stick it in there for a few seconds, press and hold for a few seconds, and everything's back to factory defaults. They make the same concept when it comes to Mocha, it comes to coax. It's called Mocha. So if you search for Mocha, now the only thing with this is satellite providers and cable providers will all new installations will already install this, so the cable boxes can talk to one another. So if you've got that technology already in your house, I wouldn't recommend Mocha unless maybe your TV provider, maybe they got multiple ports. But DirecTV, installs 2 devices similar to this. It's the one that we have is more rounded, and there's only 1 port. But this does the same thing over coax, and that's certainly an option. I've used it to network TiVos together. Well, I didn't use it for gaming consoles, but I use it for TiVos. But that is another option as well. And yes, there is a phone jack version of this as well. The only thing is it runs at 10 megs a second. It's called Home PNA. Their legacy, I've only found 1 device that even uses the standard, and it's pretty much going away. But if you want to use it, it's an option. This would be the most practical use as far as gaming console is concerned, just because, like I said, cable and satellite companies are using that Mocha technology for networking their boxes together, and if you use these, you'll probably interfere with them. You could use it though. Let's say if you have an attic antenna, and let's just say you have 1 upstairs and 1 downstairs by your router. If the antenna jack, and this would just be wiring only for your antenna. It doesn't touch the cable or satellite. Then you could absolutely use 2 of these and use your antenna wiring, your antenna coax wiring over that, and this would work great. As a matter of fact, I think this would be my preferred way of networking a game console to the router, if the router's not in the same area as your, if you can't hardwire it through traditional Ethernet. But for majority of you, you're going to have to probably go with Powerline, and again, that uses your electrical wall sockets, and both of these devices talk to each other over the existing power lines in your house. I'll leave a link to purchase these in the description below, and also I'll pin it in the comments below, so please look down below. Please give this video a like if you found it useful, and subscribe. Thanks.